Hello YouTube, HP Zeta here again, and I thought it's time for a new series called Obscure DOS and Windows Utilities and Programs. And today we're going to be looking at a program called Xbrain. Now before we get to this, I just have to say I'm very sorry that it's in 640 by 480. Unfortunately, I've been having a lot of problem trying to get AVerMedia to detect my laptop at any higher resolution, 800 by 600 or 1024 or 1280 by 768. Absolutely nothing detects properly except 640 by 480, and that's if I run a bypass via the software. So it'll have to do for now. Now what you're going to see on my desktop is some games, but the two I'm interested in today is Red Alert and Duke Nukem 3D. Let's start Red Alert. Oh my, it can't find the CD. I wonder why. Maybe it's because I don't have a CD-ROM in this computer at all. It's on my laptop, it doesn't have a CD-ROM. Also, I have to click cancel twice on Red Alert. I've got no idea why. Um, I could go and take the disk and make an image with it through Daemon Tools or Daemon Tools. That'll work, but it'll take up a whole bunch of extra space, and I really don't want to do that. Let's try Duke Nukem 3D. Most of the music is MIDI, so it doesn't need a CD, does it? Same there. Please put in Duke Nukem 3D Atomic Edition CD. That sucks. So what can you do? Remember, this is the 90s. We probably don't have internet access at home. If you do, you've got a modem and it's slow as can be. So what you did back in the 90s was you went to a friend's house and hopefully used his internet connection to download the Xbrain. Now let me start the Xbrain and quickly show you. Here we go. That is the Xbrain. Now what is the Xbrain? Well, the Xbrain is a patch engine. What it does is it contains a whole lot of patches, lots and lots of patches for games, applications, everything that you could have wanted back in the 90s. And it would store them in these .x-b files. So it's easy to download. Once you get them, you simply extract them somewhere. You use the patch engine, which is called Xbrain, to open them. And you can then patch your games or patch your applications or unlock things and do things that you're not supposed to. Sounds great. Well, it is great. Now let's see what it does. You can see that it has a few directories there. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm definitely not going to show you serials for obvious reasons. The first one you'll notice is cheats.x-b. Now this one isn't actually patches, but it's a whole bunch of text containing game cheats. We're going to take a look at it. Contact is very important because if you just downloaded the Xbrain, you won't have any .x-b files and you'll only ever see contact. It contains a website you can go to for the .x-b files, which stopped existing sometime in 2003-2004. Crack Tutor. You can actually learn how to crack your own applications using Crack Tutor. It has full tutorials on how to crack games, programs, how to work in assembly to crack applications. How does cryptology work to do your own key generators and things? It's extremely useful. And I'm not going to cover it due to the same reason as serials. You might see something on the screen that you shouldn't. Games is probably what you were interested in back in the 90s. That's just a whole bunch of games that was released around about the time, at the time. And the Xbrain contains 459 entries of games. Now, this isn't the newest version of Xbrain. The newest one ended somewhere in 2003, and I think mine is like 2001. It's the only backup I've got of the application. Next up, all cracks. You remember those passwords in games that you had to get to a certain stage and then open up the manual and type in a password? Yeah, this removes that. That's very useful. Plugins, that's anything that's completely useless by today's standards. It contains Photoshop plugins. Programs, it contains an archive of programs that you can crack. There's 364 entries. That's fairly useful. Usage, that's the only other thing that you saw next to contact. It's basically how to work the Xbrain. That's what I'm doing now. And VGS, which is a lonely single patch file. It only patches Virtual Game Station to remove CD disk checks. Virtual Game Station is a PlayStation 1 game, PlayStation 1 game emulator, and when you try and actually run a copied game on that, it detects that it's a copied PlayStation 1 game. It doesn't run. So this patch will remove that. So let's have a look at see what it does everything. I'm just going to cover free, which is going to be cheat, crack, sorry, definitely not crack tutorials, cheats, games, and all games. So let's have a look at cheats. Lots and lots of games. Some of these are actually trainers, so it'll patch the exe file so that if you press for instance F11 you can have infinite called or stuff like that. But most of them are just typing cheats, like I think Blood 2. We all know the Blood 2 codes, MP-God and MPKFA, that they stole from Doom. It's not ID, it's MP. And you just type those in, follow the instructions, and they work. Unfortunately, each time I show you something else, I'll have to quit, but that's not a problem, as long as I remember to minimize it. I forgot just now, and that is a problem. So next up here we've got games, and that's the one that I'm going to do my demonstration on. There's lots and lots of games here. There's a total of 459, as you can see on the right hand side, and there's all the games listed on the left hand side. You'll see that some of these are just serial keys. I'm not going to be covering that at all. But what I'm going to show you is the Carmageddon entries, because that basically sums everything up. The first one there is a Carmageddon 3DFX version CD check, or CD crack. This will remove the actual CD check in Carmageddon so you can play it without the disk. But that's not all. If you hit enter, it actually gives you a description of what the crack does. Now this is only for the 3DFX version, but it also cracks the 3DFX version so it will start without the 3D accelerator. Doesn't sound like much, but instead of running the game at 320 by 240, it'll start the game in 640 by 480. And if you don't have a 3D accelerator while all of the effects, everything didn't show you that have higher resolution. That's pretty awesome as well. Let's go back. There's normal CD rips. Now CD rip is vital back in the day. Small hard drives meant that we couldn't store everything on the computer. So using something like Daemon Tools to make a full image of a CD 650 megs, that was out of the question. But what this allowed you to do was crack the exe file not only to remove a CD check, but also to have it ignore things like movies and CD music. So you could play the games without movies and CD music, it'll run fine, and the game will only take 264 meg instead of 650. Another thing that was quite popular back in the day was with demos you had a certain time limit. I think the time limit on the Carmageddon 2 demo was something ridiculous like 60 seconds. You can only play the first stage but only 60 seconds of the first stage. That completely removes the time limit. So at least you can finish the first stage of Carmageddon and see if you like it. And if you did, go out and buy a copy of Carmageddon. Now, what we're interested today is, of course, Command & Conquer. But first I'm just going to randomly use page down and show you all of the games. There is lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of games. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just go through the actual list of games that's on there and look for interesting titles I've never heard of before and get those. So that's a cool way of doing it. But let's go back to Command & Conquer. You'll see it's red alert, and they've got an entry there for red alert. You'll also see that it gives you a version number. Now, what's extremely important with X-Brain is to make sure that if it does give you a version number, that you've got that version of the game. Also, some of the cracks are for different languages. There's German releases, it'll normally say German if it's for German release, English for the English release. Sometimes they work with each other, most of the times they don't. Also, sometimes you might have the right version, the right language, start it up, but it doesn't work. We had to deal with that back in the day. It was just one of those things. So let's start Red Alert and see what the information tells us to do. It says you need to copy main.mix from your CD to the game directory. Okay, and also to bear in mind that the first CD is only for the Allied movies. Okay, so if you want to play the Allied series of the game, you need to copy main.mix from the first CD. If you want to play Sony, if you want to play the Soviet version of the game, you need to copy it from the second CD. This is fairly useful information, but you can play the opposite one still, just doesn't have movies, and it's very, very difficult to know what to do without movies. So I'm just going to hit enter. It searched my computer and it found the game. There's two patches it needed to do. This is most likely for the DOS and the Windows version. I'm not too sure, I'll have to double check. But it patched the game and that's done. Press enter again. That's over with. Let's try Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem 3D 1.5 Atomic Edition. It doesn't have anything to read, so I'm just going to hit enter and have it patch it. You'll see that it patched it successfully, and it also created a backup for me of the exe file in case something went wrong. It doesn't always do this, but it's useful when it does, because sometimes some things do go wrong. Now, before I'm going to go start the game, let me explain why I chose Red Alert and Duke Nukem. Red Alert at the moment is freeware. You can get it from the Command & Conquer website, download it for free. It's probably pre-cracked, as I installed my version from my original CD. And the other one, Duke Nukem 3D, was done in December. Basically, Good Old Games gave it away for free. I don't think that there's a single person at the moment that's interested in playing Duke Nukem 3D that doesn't own it. While Good Old Games always removes copy protection, it wouldn't surprise me if they actually use something like the X-Brain for some of the cracks. Uh, Other ones I've seen reloaded. Um, I've seen so many different crack scene groups that they've used so far. It's actually just quite interesting always to check up on the exe that say open up Xedit and just see what it does. So before I start the game, so I just want to quickly touch on the other things that the X-Brain does. Old cracks is actually fairly nice. I want to show you that as well. Okay, and that's the last thing I will be touching on today. As if you open it up and let's say Crime Wave. What this does is it doesn't always auto-patch all of the games from the older versions, but it gives you the hex addresses. It tells you to open up your hex editor, like Hex Workshop, which I highly recommend, and look for string 750D and change it to 9090. What this will do is it'll either remove the password, break it so that you can type in anything, okay, or it'll force the game not to look for the floppy or the stiffy disk. Very, very useful for old game collectors, as there's not all cracks for all of the games out there for the old stuff. There's lots and lots of old games that don't have cracks yet, and some of them are in here. Very useful. So let's close X-Brain. Like I said before, I do own the original of both of these. I'll try and put a picture maybe here somewhere. I don't know if I can. I'm going to try. But let's start Red Alert. Also, sorry about the actual volume. I can't do anything about it. So if you're listening to this, please turn down the volume on your computer just a little bit. And there we go. That's Red Alert. No more CD check. The other thing I just quickly want to show you, if you choose Soviets on Red Alert, just like if you had the original game and you had the original Allies disc in, it actually has the movies and it'll allow you to play the first 3 stages.
Reinforcements have arrived.
There you go, that works. Board mission.
Battle control terminated.
And there you go. Duke Nukem does sometimes freak out my capture card. If it does, please stop the video right now. If not, just continue watching. Let's stop the video. Thank you for watching, and if you liked my video, please feel free to leave a comment, rate my videos and subscribe. It will be great if you can do that for me. Also, unfortunately, I'm not going to be leaving a link to download Xbrain for two reasons. Number one, my version is out of date. Number two, okay, I don't want YouTube to close my account down. Legality, I'm not sure where it stands on it. It's extremely old, cracks and patches. But it wouldn't surprise me if another member does post a link somewhere, and that's not my responsibility if they accidentally post a link for a version of Xbrain, especially if it's the latest version. And that's all from me, HP Zeta. If you like my video, once again, please comment, rate and subscribe. And until next time, I'm signing out. Goodbye.